Cloudcast Media. Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, and we are thrilled to have these two cool cats back in the studio. Like, we could have them on every single day, and we still wouldn't would run out of things to talk about. They are on top of their game. They're from the UCSD Department of Education and Community Outreach. Dr. Ed Abeyta, he's the Associate Dean. We're going to chat about his book, Reinventing Lifelong Learning, and his longtime colleague, Morgan Appel, Assistant Dean and Instructor at UCSD. Ed and Morgan, always good to see you guys.
Wonderful to see you. Wonderful. Thank you for having us back.
The content is phenomenal. How you doing there, Ed?
It's so good to see you again. And the rest of the team, this is always a pleasure.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it. And it goes so fast. Joined by my co-host, Kristen Fogel. She is the Executive Director of San Diego Writers, Inc., just had a big celebration last night for their 20th anniversary on Liberty Station. I hear it was a booming success.
It was. I've had 3 sips of coffee. I feel a little bit better now. It was great.
It's
a good time had by all.
Well, happy anniversary.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Exactly. Well, Ed, let's start with you before we get into the book over here, and then you can jump into Morgan. Just talk about, what the mission is of what you folks do besides doing phenomenal outreach as you had for many years.
Yeah, I think we both came together, Morgan and I, really with one focus, and that's our really belief that education is a human right. And so I can't take credit of this. Morgan actually came with this one approach when we were having discussions about Fialu, which is our mantra for UC, which is let there be light. And so we started talking about being able to be a light source and being able to open and shed a light on all the opportunities, most importantly, access to a major research university. And so over the years, we've gone from the early childhood all the way to retirement. So as the book notes, we specialize in lifelong learning from twinkle to wrinkle.
Mm-hmm. And I called it prenatal to postmortem. That never really caught on for obvious reasons. But yeah, absolutely. And as a land-grant institution, we have a responsibility to serve our public. And that doesn't just mean those who come to us as undergraduates or graduate students, but really to better serve our communities in a way that avails access to top-tier, world-class education from wherever you are in the world.
Yeah, and listen, I think there's many reasons for your guys' success. By the way, you are always engaged in the community, no matter what walk of life, from every aspect of our county. To the very cool park and market that you folks are working with, the Tad Parsons and the Malin Burnhams and everybody in between, with the iconic Mary Walshock, who I happened to see at a Junior Achievement Hall of Fame event, of course, and just a force. But I remember Morgan, Charles and I talk about this quite a bit when you were on last with Ed. I think it's in the back of your business card. I think it just says yes or something like that.
I was wondering if it was the yes guys. I thought so.
The funny thing about the yes card, and we used to distribute it rather liberally because we wanted to be able to support and partner in reciprocal ways with community members. But lately, they've been printing our business cards with Navy on the back. So it's a little bit harder to write yes. So we just flip it over to the front and we write yes.
I'll get you some white gel pens. Work itself out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We need an alternative, but yes card is still most definitely in play.
No, it is absolutely so cool. So Ed, talk about the book.
Yeah, this is something that Morgan and I have been talking about for years. And what it is really trying to capture all the efforts that we've been putting together for 5 years, because some of our staff coming on and others around the country, many of the questions that we get is, how'd you do this? How'd you approach it? And it really starts with the premise that we are in a moment of a renaissance, and that at every moment in time in history, we can think about those moments in time that changed our lives, whether we saw it coming or not. We could think about World War II, the bubonic plague, most recently, of course, COVID.
Right.
And you think about COVID before then, our academic senate and others thought we could never do online learning.
Yeah.
That was a sin. It was something that was not even close to being something that they would entertain. Well, thank you, COVID, if there's something positive out of that, because we've been able to have opportunities online and so on. But the book really talks about this renaissance on transformation about how Morgan and I have put it together, thinking about early childhood all the way to retirement, and also how we engage partners and what that has manifested into different chapters and how the impact is applied. So the framework is really something that we work together. And so reason why I'm so pleased to have both myself talk about the book, but also Morgan, is this was a documentation for all of us to understand how we got there, but also the practical applications that now Morgan is implementing both locally, statewide, and then nationally.
Yeah, you hit something that is certainly in your guys' DNA, and metrics are important to you. Measurement is important. It's great to bring out certain things, but are we really having an impact? How do you do this? Obviously, you can't talk about UCs without talking about phenomenal research. That's an understatement of the world. And there's some things that you folks do that, hey, we are really making an impact. Kristen?
Yeah. So this twinkle to wrinkle concept that I love so much. I like yours too, but
Thank
you know, that's the one that
Goes well with bubonic plague.
It's true. It's true. Yeah. So twinkle to wrinkle, you don't have to list them out, but programmatically, what does that look like? What does access look like, kind of in the span?
Well, I think what it speaks to in a broader sense, and I think Ed captures this with incredible eloquence in the book, is that post-secondary education is changing, even if it's being dragged kicking and screaming. And the idea here is that it is more interdependent. It is more user-centric. It is more partnership-focused than it has been traditionally, where we understand that we are not the sole purveyors of knowledge, but there is a great deal there's a wealth of it in our communities, with our partners. And one of the things that we're seeing, especially in pre-college, I'm going to make sure I get to your question within the next year or so.
It's fine. We can do it next episode. Whatever works for you.
This will be the longest podcast in the history of humankind.
Well, Charles isn't on, so it can't be that long.
So I think what it's taught us in a very real way, especially working with community partners and things like embedded campuses, where we're working in an actual high school with community partners, is that we were always worried about getting kids ready for college. Are we going to be able to prepare them to come to us? What it has done, it's served as a catalyst for us to hold a mirror to ourselves and say, are we ready for who's coming to us?
Yeah.
Because we also have to change. So this idea that we can, even if you don't come to UC San Diego as an undergraduate or a graduate, that we still have an honor and a responsibility to serve our communities, starting with pre-kindergarten, maybe antenatal at some point. But this idea that we will hold Fiat Lux, which, Drew, I'm sure you're very, very well familiar with, Let There Be Light.
Right.
Our responsibility is to hold the torch aloft and illuminate pathways, and then to join with you as you go down these pathways, whether we're in the lead, whether we're following, whether we're walking by your side. But the idea is a really different take. And I think that Ed has captured this so very well as a group of case studies.
Yeah, there's no question about it. We're chatting with Morgan Appel, Assistant Dean and Instructor for UCSD's Department of Education and Community Outreach, with his longtime business partner.
Long-suffering.
And cool comrade over here, Dr. Abeyta, Associate Dean, his book, Reinventing Lifelong Learning. I'm Drew Schlosberg. You're listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show. We are the nation's longest-running community podcast, now in our 18th year. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union for 6 decades, just doing great things to uplift folks in San Diego County, whether it is food insecurity, whether it is literacy, whether it is art, you name it. And listen, I love bragging about you guys, Ed and Morgan, because you guys are the poster adults, I guess not children, for
Some
doing
could
this.
argue there.
There's an argument to be had.
Exactly. Well, listen, you folks, and what I love about it is that you're always are reinventing, you're innovative. Obviously, it's the whole premise behind what you folks do at UCSD and you two personally, and ties into lifelong learning. That's not new for you guys. You guys have been this in your DNA, but it's sort of a new concept for other folks that,
Yes.
Don't get the fact that it is lifelong and it should always be. Talk about that, Ed.
Yeah, and this is actually something that we're trying to convey, not just what we're doing in the book in terms of our practical examples, but it's in our profession. We're changing one mind at a time. And so I'll step back a little bit. In our profession, I had a problem with this concept of lifelong learning as we define it in a profession because the bulk of our offerings across the country in continuing education, they say we're doing into lifelong learning, but 95% of the programs are geared towards adults.
Mm-hmm.
So it didn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
So we started out in 2010 looking at opening up the pre-college, and then we expanded all the way to retirement with Osher Lifelong Learning,
Right.
our 50 plus, which is burgeoning. And then we realized the catalyst for success was not just UCSD's brand and research power, it was the relationships with our community. And so for lifelong learning, it's really not just about what's in this book about in terms of our practical examples of impact. It's about how you bring in a land-grant institution where everybody in our community feels like they're part of the same team. Secondly, I hope to transform what we think about nationally in the continuing education profession because our chancellor and vice chancellors have realized that it was so important that we're not an add-on as a continuing education, but we became a division in the last 2 years. And that has been a game changer because we're not just undergraduate and graduate, but they realize that the importance of having the before, during, and after extension and how we approach continuing education is a key part of success for our greater community.
And when you think about that moniker, making it a division now, sends a message to everybody in that area. I want to get back to something that you talked about, and Chris and I always are mentioning it up on our show. Been doing this thing for 18 years, and our Spotlight on the Community show is all about relationships. It's all about partnerships and so forth. And you nailed it, Ed, you and Morgan. With the folks you work with, from the Tad Parsons to the Malin Burnhams to the Mary Walshocks to the Philly Boy Blairs and everybody in between, and you do, is huge. San Diego, as many people know, is the absolute smallest big city in the history of humankind. I don't know, maybe there's someone in the Milky Way that's different than us. But Ed, that makes it in some ways a poster child for what we want to do, correct?
Absolutely. And, I can't tell you, it takes two for success. And every unique partner, or each partner has unique capabilities, and we're drawing out our complement for every relationship. And so good examples are people that have been on your show, Urban Discovery Academy, which is a school we founded years ago.
Great.
Morgan and I sit in the board, and we're founders with Maylin Levine. I was so proud that Jenny was on your show.
Right.
And now, for the first time, we are an embedded campus at UC San Diego downtown.
That's great.
In the middle of downtown. But most importantly, the other partner in that school is Reality Changers.
Mm-hmm.
So the Reality Changers, people don't know, started with a partnership with Academic Connections in UCSD 25 years ago with Chris Schonoff. And it's kind of buried in that old thing, but it's another seed that was flourishing now. So you think about Reality Changers, UCSD, and Urban Discovery from K to 12. Students are now going through there. We're going to be able to take lower division courses from UCSD, some of our certificate programs. Imagine a student now through this program graduating from high school with a diploma and a professional certificate from the University of California, San Diego.
Well, it's, one, life-changing to say the least, and that not even counting the Preuss School and Access Youth Academy.
Yep.
Do I need to go name 4 billion others? I was honored to be on the AVID board for 9 years. Yep. And, again, Kristen always, recoils when I use the word tentacles over here. You can see her.
Recoil, just take a mini shot in my mind and, carry on with my day.
Yeah, exactly. We come back from break, Ed and Morgan want to talk a little bit more about the book, of course. And then, Morgan, all the thoughtful things you're working on and transformation and so forth. We always save time at the second half of the interview. What can our listeners do to support what you folks are doing? Obviously, get engaged, take a look what you're doing. You have any questions, come and visit us. So give some thought to that when we return with Ed Abeyta, Associate Dean, UCSD Department of Education and Community Outreach, the author of Reinventing Lifelong Learning, joined by his colleague Morgan Appel, Assistant Dean. I'm joined by my colleague, co-host Kristen Fogel of the San Diego Writers Inc. She's Executive Director, and we will be right back.
When you do your banking with Mission Fed, You get great rates on auto and home loans. That's good for you, but something good also happens for a lot of other people. We're not for profit, so we put money back into the community to help lots of great nonprofits to keep San Diego strong. So you're not just getting something good, you're doing something good. Come to Mission Fed. It's banking that's good for all.
Brand amplification is the DNA of Cloudcast Media, and our code is the powerful blending of sound, voice, and storytelling to lift local brands and their communities. Whether it is our Brandcast, Schoolcast, or Causecast platforms, the unifying ethos is all about this community, the one you call home. If you dare to dream and want to explore the brand amplification of Cloudcast, a national leader in local podcasting and other Winfluence strategies, please visit us at cloudcast.us.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media. Let's do another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, the nation's longest running community podcast, now in our 18th year, brought to you by the amazing folks at Mission Fed Credit Union. 6 decades of elevating us folk living in San Diego County. You're joined by Dr. Ed Abeyta. He's Associate Dean of UCSD, and Morgan Appel, Assistant Dean, talking about Ed's book, Reinventing Lifelong Learning, pretty much Ed and Morgan's book. I'm going to throw that in there too, if you don't mind, Ed.
Not a problem.
Okay.
And absolutely. Well, I should have a whole chapter. He's in the several chapters, so yeah.
Oh, I guarantee he is, and thank you very much for giving me a copy of it, joined by Kristen Fogel, my co-host, and she is the Executive Director of San Diego Writers, Inc. You know, you mentioned something and things you want to talk about, Morgan, having a regional pipeline in education and all that. Pipeline is a very critical word for me because I was involved in a program called Pipeline 616 many years ago, a grade 6 through 16 initiative that was with San Diego Unified City College, the PIC. It used to be called the PIC. Now it's Workforce Partnership, and San Diego State. Talk about the pipeline you're chatting about.
Yeah, absolutely. And there are several pipelines and pathways, but yes. I think the one to which you refer is our work across the conurbation, the work across the region, because I think in spite of physical structures, there's always been a free flow of commerce and communication and culture and arts, irrespective of the borders. So when we think, and certainly not to offend a UCLA alum, as I know you are, I think that we have more in common in San Diego with Tijuana than perhaps we do with Los Angeles, and we ebb and flow with them. And the idea is if we are going to attend to regional economic issues, regional innovation issues, we have to do it together as a region. So our pipeline extends beyond San Ysidro and into Tijuana and into other places with the idea that we approach this in a very holistic way from elementary school, whether your elementary school is in La Jolla, California, or in La Jolla in Tijuana, you have access to high-quality education and a career pathway moving forward. If we are in need of maybe 5 million or so engineers, we can't solve that solely as just San Diego.
Well, and you brought up something that near and dear to my heart as well, and I was very fortunate when Mary Walshock was working with Chuck Nathanson, of course, your colleagues, and you know that so well, and the cross-border issues that he was dealing with, and I know Lead San Diego always has a Chuck Nathanson Award. Were you guys at that event, the Lead event at Humphreys?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It was incredible.
It was. It absolutely was. And just the foresight you guys always have in these things is so critical. But what I love the fact that you guys connected to the economy. It's the richest border area in the world. And one of these days we'll really figure out how to take great advantage of it. We do take advantage of it in that aspect of it. Talk about how important that is, that border region like Morgan was referring to.
Yeah, it permeates in so many levels. And we talked about our partners. Our consultation with Mark Cafferty from EDC Malin Burnham. People don't realize the impact he had with CVX and all those things.
Exactly.
Our new partner with ITJ, opening up a 14th floor downtown Tijuana, overlooking the entire city, making a micro campus. That's so innovative. But it also involved other partners that we're also looking at advising us. Sid Vivek, Junior Achievement, our reality check, Tamara Carver, we're looking at, do we have to just look at San Diego Central? Could we actually look at the principles about how they do outreach as first generation to across the border? What's interesting in our experience about why we've had some of those partners tell us what to do is because Morgan and I have learned real early on in our practice is that we don't go in as many we've heard from UCSD faculty or whatever. We don't go into community and say, hey, we're from the Hill, La Jolla, and we're here to save you.
Yeah.
Actually, it's the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
What we've learned is that they've enhanced us.
Yeah.
And what we've learned from the cross-border, we're stronger, we're more insightful. And let me tell you, the lessons learned about what goes on in a greater community through listening a little bit more and programming and customizing programs, not for what we need, but what really is contextually grounded for their communities, has been a game changer.
Yeah. Very bespoke educational experiences that are not near-shored, they're no-shored. We share a common coastline, so why not?
You brought up something, and Kristen has heard me say this many times in the show. I'm a journalist by trade here, so don't run away and shut off because I said that. But that when I was teaching part-time journalism at San Diego State, my first lecture at each of the classes I was teaching was listening. And they go, "What are you talking about?" And so I went through all about listening, research, and there's a difference between listening and hearing. We're really good at hearing. We suck at listening, if I can say that. And
what? Just kidding.
Exactly. We're going to shut that mic down in about 1 second.
It's like the third time you've said that. Any day now.
It'll be 4 now.
Okay. All right.
Coming up.
Sorry, continue.
But
I'm listening.
But you're 100% Ed correct. And Morgan, you guys you ooze this out of your DNA. Is that we're learning all that's doing is benefiting us as you flip the switch and you do that. And when we do these types of things, heaven forbid we actually understand what the real issues are, on that. Talk about, I'll start with you on this, Morgan, and go over to you, Ed, on this. You guys are just absolutely just so famous in working with nonprofits. We're talking about this Nonprofit 101. Can you chat about a little bit about what that is?
Yeah. So this emerged as a result of conversations, as a result of listening sessions with school districts. And we have a wonderful partner in the form of the Poway Unified School District, a number of different programs. But this was a conversation about individual school site foundations and best practices and how can we get people on the same page. And out of those conversations came this idea, why don't we offer a credit-bearing course for school site foundation leaders? And I think it's important for us as supporters of regional education that we offer that without charge to the district, and we offer that without charge to the leaders. They're, running a school site foundation is very exciting until you get into the daily business of the daily business. And then, there's a bit of opacity. And I think what we try to do is bring in resources to say, we're going to approach this issue together. We're going to have synergistic and collaborative conversations rather than here's all the knowledge and best to you.
Yeah, that's great. Ed, how do they get the book? How do you get Reinventing Lifelong Learning? Amazon, I'm assuming?
Amazon, it's through, I'm so privileged to have Henry DeVries. He's the CEO of Indie Books International. I couldn't ask for a better coach than him. And he really helped me guide through this. And so definitely Amazon and other great retailers out there. And if you buy it, please leave a review. If you buy 2 or 3, I'll read it to you.
Very, very good.
Soon to be a major motion picture, by the way.
Yeah, starring you, Morgan?
No.
Okay, okay. So
it could happen.
It could, you never know on this. What can we do to support just the great work that you folks are doing? I mean, that would be a 15-hour conversation. What can our listeners do?
I actually sometimes that question asks a lot of times. And I think about, and sometimes the gravitational pull is, and especially in extensions, they're like, oh, enroll in our programs and join our website. I actually think the opposite. I think we talked about partners.
Right.
I'd really like to share a light on our partners to support them. There's people like YMCA, Todd Tibbetts, who's been on your show that is transformational.
Yes.
In terms of his approach of what churches and coffee shops used to be. The YMCA is this new area where we are bringing people together, and UCSD is a partner with them.
Promises to kids.
Yeah, they were just on. Yeah.
We talk about Tamara Carver and reality change.
Right.
Sid Vivek from Junior Achievement. For me, I think it's very appropriate to say UCSD is very successful and a lot of investors, but I don't think all the nonprofits who we count on as our advisors, our partners, I would ask to really think about some of the names and nonprofits that we've mentioned to support them, because they're the lifeblood of what we and why we're doing what we do.
Yeah, and you do it so well, and I've been lucky, very lucky, to have been able to chat about that for 18 years, and hopefully I'll do it for another 18 years. I mean, I wouldn't listen to me, for God's sake. But what's so fun is that the people that you had mentioned, frequent guests on the show, and you really, as you well know, Ed and Morgan, you got to say it once, you got to say it twice, you got to say it 55 times. You just can't do once and we'll see you in a year. It's got to be absolutely consistent on it. Kristen, any final comments?
No, thanks for all the good work that you do. And I can't wait to read the book.
Yeah.
It's a nice interior design too. You probably don't get that comment, but from a book gal, I appreciate the readability. It's the first thing that I look at. So,
San Diego Writers Inc. Ed, I would do that over here.
Thank you very much.
Ed Abeyta, always great to see you, and to you too, Morgan. One clarification. I did not go to UCLA, but my dad taught medicine there. And so, but I was born literally weaned on the campus. And I was there so many days, more than the students were. They say, well, you're going to go to UCLA, of course. I go, I think I'll go out of town. I will be buried at Pauley Pavilion. I've already got that in the will. The ashes will be sprinkled around there. And so forth. But thanks for mentioning that as well. And it's obviously, one of your brother
my sister teaches sociology
at UCLA,
professor there. So,
oh my goodness, yeah, it's a great institution, as is at UC at all. Morgan and Ed, promise you'll be back on in the not too distant future to talk about some of the other million things that you folks are doing.
It'd be an honor.
Absolutely.
Ed Abeyta, Associate Dean, UCSD Department of Education and Community Outreach, the author of Reinventing Lifelong Learning, with his longtime colleague Morgan Appel, Assistant Dean at UCSD. I'm Drew Schlosberg. You've been listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show. We are the nation's longest running community podcast, now in our 20th year, brought to you by the very cool folks at Mission Fed Credit Union. 6 decades of doing great things. Kristen Fogel, thank you again for doing a wonderful job as my co-host, and we hope the listeners enjoyed the interview.
You've been listening to an episode of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego community. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
Cloudcast Media.